jalo a puso mo nakong ya gompieno ya go fetola thuto go tswa go nneng go tswa ka e ntseng ka teng go itse yalo mo bošweng ka dikgang tsa maranyane maitsho dumela emma maitsho a re simololega go mo coding go toga
coding it involves who design a program ya di computer. So we design a program ya di computer by giving computer melao kana di instruction gore e dire seo batang e se dira gore e solve a certain problem.
Okay. Go tlhaloganya thata kgang e leng gore tlabe re bua ka notsi la gompieno maitsho re tla lebelela pele setshwantsho sa dikgang se e leng gore re ntse re setse morago a re bue ka ga re se lebelele
Ithuthuntso eo ya basise ka lenaneo la bone la our coding e ne e tsene ke batsamaisi ba le 20 ba akaretsa baithuti ba University ya Botswana ba ne ba etela dikolo tse farologaneng jaaka Shakawe le Bobonong ka thuso ya company ya Diamond Trading Botswana. Mosimolodisi wa lenaneo la CSEd yo gape e le mookamedi wa lone Dr. Ethel Tshukudu a re ithuthuntso e ne e tlhagolela tsela go kopana jo bo itebagantsa le dithuto tsa maranyane ya dikhomputara.
The summit will bring international speakers from the USA, from Europe, Thailand, and within Botswana will have.
Bokopano jo bo tla tsena ke bana le seabe go tswa kwa mafatsheng a tshwana a America le Thailand. Go tswa mo Botswana bo tla tsena ke ba lephata la ditlhalosano, dikitso le maranyane, lephata la thuto le tlhabololo dikitso ba Innovation Hub. Le borra dikgwebo ba ba farologaneng go rutana ka maranyane a dikhomputara a coding le gore re ka dirisa jang go isa lefatshe leno kwa pele.
Has deeply what computer science education is and how we can move Botswana to the next step.
Ke project e ne ka bona go tshwanela gore e nne teng ka gore ke ne ke bona gore e na le mosola ka gore bana ba tlile go rutiwa gore mo mosola ba di laptop ba skill ba di skill tsa go coder and programming gore ba kgone go bona gore ba ka dira dilo tse dintsi ka yone in their normal learning activities.
Baithuti ba ba neng ba tsene dithuto tse ba ne ba supa maitemogelo a bone.
I actually learned a lot today. I learned coding and
ke ithutile go le gontsi gompieno ke ithutile maranyane a coding le gore o ka a dirisa go dira sengwe se o se batlang. Maranyane a tshwana a Facebook a dirilwe ke maranyane a coding.
Basically Facebook is used mainly because of coding.
Today's lesson was very interactive. We learned about coding. It was really
ke maitemogelo a molemo ka gore bontsi ba rona ga re itse ka maranyane a dikhomputara a coding mme a tlhofofatsa puisano ka re kgona go buisana re dirisa maranyane a tshwana a emoji
ya emojis ya.
Dr. Tshukudu a re lenaneo la our code le diretse go tlhofafaletsa dikolo tsa puso tiro mo go ruteng dithuto tsa maranyane a dikhomputara. Solofela Tombale, Botswana Television.
maitsho ke tsa gore pele ga re lebela tshwantsho se motshwenye gone re bua jalo o tlhalosa gone gore hour of code ke mme ke bona gore bana ka re ba le bone ba e tlhaloganya emma maitsho a re simollega go coda go botlhokwa ga kae what's the contribution ya yone is it a very important thing kana go diragala?
Yeah, that's a good question. Coda is very, very important because right now we're in the digital world. Everything around us is digitized, including the TV, including the phone. You wake up, you go to sleep, you are touching on it, using some applications. So all these things, they revolve around coding.
Emma, so which coding obviously keep puo computer and computer languages. Ke tsona le C++, ona le Java, jalo. Le ruta bana ba ka efe puo ne ya di computer?
So coding kana ne ke bua gore o ha computer a di instruction. So how we dira lo we usa mo go bitswang programming language ya ka motho bua. Ya no rona my PhD was in computer science and ne ke specialize on how people teach and how they learn computing, yone programming in particular. So o ta itela ile gore bana ba ba go dikolong, especially bana ba Botswana ba ile gore they don't have the background ya coding ya ka ba ko mahatseng o tshwantse go ba introduce to coding ka language e leng gore e motho e fun and it's not intimidating as compared to C++. So bone they were using a Sprite Lab environment and it was a block-based programming language. Haintsi era tse di tshosang ngwana ha ntsa kopanya di bloko a ira code. And at the same time they have immediate feedback ya go bona se ba se irang with the computer.
Mora gore coding e ke tlo ga di tswe maitso. Me gona ha re lebella coding as it is. Ke tle bone batho ba bona ba maranyane ba ba tsana mo coding. We still have those who are traditional and want to go, including the block one as well, where you follow a flow chart. However, we also get the situation where there's what you call ready-made source code. So you just get it, modify, and run with it. Can't we teach them that so they can modify what already exists?
That's very dangerous.
Okay.
Because coding, like I said, it's everywhere, including, just imagine, in the hospital, the machines that they're using, it's coding behind there. And all we are doing is knowing how to modify source code. We will obviously become prone to errors, even in critical systems. So we are trying to let them understand the basics of computing, the basics of coding. So at that age, we want them to understand what it's about, to understand how they create technology rather than just use it, to understand how they can use coding, language subject in Zabon. All right? And also as they code, I told you it's about problem solving. They develop the logical thinking skills. It's where you think about, I need to move from step A to step B. How do I do that? So you engage in deep thinking about moving to the solution. So it helps them analytical skills, problem solving skills, and logical thinking skills. And there's a lot more benefits there.
Since you are talking about benefits as well, just expanding more to an what are your objectives? Make your sentle gore le bone go diragalang ha le tsetsana our code ha mo CSE.
So our code was just a short-term thing saying we wanted people like you, the teachers, the students, and the community of Botswana to understand what computer science education is all about. This is part of a bigger goal. I brought CSEdBotswana. It's an initiative I thought of while I was completing my PhD, having been exposed to the international platform. So Ebetai House, we were under the Department of Maths and Science Education in the University of Botswana. So even the Vice Chancellor was very happy to hear about it because we want to help the community. We want to find ways we can help them engage in coding. So the bigger goal of CSEdBotswana is to help the government to change its computer science education system.
Okay. Now, obviously, spreading it, the event is one thing of doing it.
Yes.
But now the core part is on the educational side.
Yes.
Because we still find situations where computer education has always been an option, but now we are saying everyone must know. How are we going to implement it, the core part of the curriculum?
That's a very good question. So the people who heard about this idea first was the Ministry of Education and Skills Development. I even met with them virtually while I was in the UK to just give them the idea, and they were excited and said, come to Botswana, let's meet and talk. So we want to work together. And we have an upcoming summit actually, it's about computer science education. We as CSEdBotswana, we cannot say, this is something we'll just do by ourselves. It needs stakeholders, it needs partners like the ministries. We need to come sit in one room at the summit and we discuss the hard topics about how we are going to implement computer science education in the country, starting from primary school to secondary school. So we will have the people from Europe and USA who have been doing exactly what we are trying to do with CSEdBotswana. They have, impacted half of the American states, broadened participation in computing, and they will be sitting down with us. We will discuss our context and they discuss their context. And we will come to a conclusion at the end of the summit where we move forward.
Okay, so obviously we have to exercise a lot of caution. currently, right, computer education, Botswana, it's obviously type A, type B, or drag and drop and do that. However, there's another side of computer education, which is now the use of technology beyond just pressing enter and a space bar, right? Where people are abusive a little bit of technology. Is that a part of the education you're going to provide in terms of using maranyane in a way in what
Definitely. So, like I said, my expertise are in the computer science education. Fortunately, Botswana has experts. We also have experts in the security parts of things. So they will be at the summit as well. So we will be talking about these issues. How can we help the government change its curricula in such a way that it caters for all of them? So we don't want just to teach them and not be responsible about using technology. We also want to impart knowledge. Yes.
So we saw the government rolling out computers and laptops and tablets. I think the senior had seen this very same
I really came at the right time, at like a perfect time, because that was just at the end of the senior secondary schools, but you had the laptops and the internet connectivity. Even in our board, we do have the CEO of Bofinet Remabua. But I also talked to the PSO, Minister of Communications, Knowledge and Technology, about appreciating their efforts of digitizing the schools. They didn't forget about the schools, because I feel that's where it has to start, especially if we want to create a knowledge-based economy. So we are going it via, digital skills.
You're creating hackers.
Yeah.
So now, but we are obviously going to make sure that they become ethical in how they use technology.
Yes. That is why we need to talk about the curricula. How do they become ethical? Because actually at the Hour of Code, one of them came to me and said, can I come and learn hacking as well? So they have overactive imagination,
Yeah, I can already imagine. You are teaching them how to make a software that's artificial intelligence. Eventually it should be able to do other things that we wouldn't want to see happen.
Oh, definitely. While I was in the UK, I got the opportunity to work with Raspberry Pi Foundation. They're at the core of changing the UK system. And we were actually in a project about artificial intelligence. I had to research all over the world the resources that are being used to teach students AI, and ethics was at the core of it. So we cannot teach AI and leave ethics away, out of it. It will become chaotic.
All right, so we're currently obviously focusing our education on the soft side or the software side of technology. Now you're mentioning Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
When I knew them, they specialized on display, eventually small programming to large displays, smaller computers, compact. Are we also teaching these kids about hardware management? Because they've been given this expensive equipment that can't with you.
No. Yes. So when we come with the idea of teaching coding, there was one very intelligent professor in America, Mark Gazelle, who advised me and said, if you are going to Botswana and you are going to be advising on the curricula, don't take away the teaching of the hardware part. Usually the mistake we make is, no, it's all about coding, and we forget to touch on the hardware aspects of things. So they need to understand also the hardware parts of things. What is a computer? What is it made of? How can they be responsible with using these gadgets?
Okay, so now we obviously are taking this thing across the country. We are seeing it happening obviously more. However, I've got knowledge from your end that actually this thing happened across the whole country.
Yes.
9 districts,
yes.
15 schools,
yes.
1,000 children. What happened during that hour?
Now I'm not going to stop talking
okay.
because
Go ahead.
It was overwhelming.
Right.
What happened is we engaged 15 schools, and our academy also said we want to be part of it. So we said, okay, join in. So it was a total of 16 schools, and we're
So it's 15 government public schools and one private school.
Okay. And we said, okay, we're gonna do the hour of code. Just to, like I said, sensitize and broaden participation. So it was a lot of work to plan for that event. So I had to engage the facilitators and the teachers themselves. So we had to train the teachers about what the activity is about and the facilitators in Gaborone. And thankfully we had companies like Service Xcellence and the Ministry of Communications, giving us facilitators to say they can support also the University of Botswana students. So we had to teach them, and then they were spread across the 9 regions of Botswana, thanking Diamond Trading Company Botswana for their efforts in making sure they reach those regions. So the day at 2 o'clock, all the schools coded. And
okay, so wait.
Yes.
So you set an hour, say 2 o'clock until 3, there's coding going to be happening across the schools?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So now it was so exciting because we were all communicating, sharing pictures.
How are you communicating? With the cell phone or using the technology itself,
We were
which is the
using,
computer?
yes, no, we were using the WhatsApp, which is an app.
Okay.
But we had groups of teachers, groups of facilitators, groups of CSEdBotswana board of, advisory board. All this is happening at the same time. Videos, pictures are being shared, the students are being interviewed, they're excited, and they said, we want more. So that was really exciting just to see the mood. It went way beyond my expectations.
Okay, so in this hour, what were you hoping to achieve, and did you achieve it?
Yes, the excitement. For me, that was key because we talk of computer science, we think of a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think of someone.
Oh yeah, and it's International Women's Day today.
Yes.
Well, okay, sure.
We think of a man. We also think of something that is for the most intelligent. We can't
With glasses.
With glasses,
Yeah.
So we want to demystify the idea about coding, to say actually everybody can learn this thing, but if you are being taught the right way. So we start with a block-based programming language because it won't intimidate you, but you are really engaging. You have no idea. You are engaging with some deeper coding concepts that include both repetition, event sequencing, all these things you are learning, logical thinking that I said, but you are having fun with it because at the end of it, you can create a story or a game or something. So at Liduma Senior Secondary School, I was there and they were presenting their project. I'm like, so did you finish this in 1 hour? And they said, yeah, we finished. So roughly 1 hour to 1 hour 20, they were done. And now they were presenting their projects, to the teachers and the facilitators. So I was just like so impressed. And they said that, those were the students who said, where do we go from here? We want more. Yes.
So now, obviously, you're talking about the students, and I'm keen and interested in knowing what the reception was from them, apart from the excitement, because you do know that in certain areas of the country, much as the computers are there, some people are also a little bit scared of going too far or also not confident enough to go into it. What is the reception across the 9 regions?
That's a very good question because I'm talking from the context of a Gaborone student.
Yeah.
So what we did, because I couldn't get the feedback immediately, right? It happened all at the same time, but we gave the students a survey to tell us about their experiences, leaving it open-ended so that they can be open and tell us what the challenges are. We are currently analyzing that data, and we will share it with the public. We will have a way we put it, but it will also be presented at the summit so that we can learn, did it affect the urban versus rural, which one engaged better. But you'll be surprised that even before the hour of coding, the day before, some teachers from Bo, I think it was Takatokwano, they were sending, here's my student, they're already ahead. I'm like, okay, they're practicing for the hour of code, which is happening tomorrow. But, so I think the students were ready and they're just like, bring it on,
Okay, I'm trying to get this thing again, right? So it's like a science fair, basically, in the sense, the way you did it, it's like a science fair. All the kids are active, all the kids are participating in there, right? What was set for them? What were the requirements? What are they supposed to do?
So we trained the facilitators and the teachers with the same material.
Okay.
And in the training, we told them the first 5 minutes, this is what you do. Introduce why they are doing the activity.
So what was this activity? Were they making games?
So they were engaging with an emoji.
Okay.
You know how cell phones. So it took time to think of the actual activity that Botswana students can engage with. So we thought, okay, everyone knows emojis from their phones. So we are going to make emojis talk, and we're gonna create stories out of emojis. Okay. We're gonna, duplicate them, make them many, make them move, make them do whatever, all sorts of things, but using a programming language to do that. So that was the activity. So you go from stage 1 to stage 10, and then on the 11th stage, that is when they say, okay, you've learned the basics, now do it yourself. So we found Botswana students becoming creative and not using even the emoji to create the final artifact. So you find, like I told you, there was one who created, a fish in the pond, and it's chasing a cereal bowl. So every time it touches the cereal bowl disappears. So that's creative thinking, and it is a girl child who created that program, and she had never learned coding before.
Okay, so what does this now say about our young people in terms of enthusiasm towards technology and primarily now the coding languages?
Yes, so I just want to say also that we need to be very careful. Like that question you asked is very important to say, were all the children reacting the same way, Yeah. We will only know after we analyze the survey. Because maybe the rural students from the rural areas were intimidated. We really don't know. Because there was a time where we did a pilot and some of the students didn't complete the activity. So it could depend on where you are placed or who's teaching you at that moment. That is why CSEdBotswana is coming into play to say, how do we make all of the students, whether they are shy, whether they are women, whether they are what, to engage at the same level. It's a long process, trust me. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of partnerships and creative minds to think of how can we engage all the students equally. Okay. So the Hour of Code did what it was supposed to do, but there's still further, digging in terms of being informative and making sure that as we introduce coding, we are very careful. I just want to make sure that people should know that coding is not an easy thing. Once it gets introduced in the curricula, it may intimidate even the teachers themselves.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So since you mentioned teachers, I think that will be the next question that I'll ask you after our short break. So, Rabu.
One thing that we like to emphasize is the intersection of Francis Town. Not only is it iconic and symbolic, but strategic. Hapona ape marakano la aditsela mo Botswana. A ile goreng a lumaganya Botswana le mahatsha a mangwe. Ana le sone spaghetti sa Francis Town. Ke raya ha o se pagama ga bodimo go se rallang se pagama se tlola. Tsela teng ha gona go re tlogang teng, you end up directly in Zambia, you end up directly over DRC. Ha se gologa wa go tlhamalla ela ka sone sa go wena hela go South Africa a tsenang teng e bo gora gore ha o se dumela go tlase o hela o le Zimbabwe is directly crossing over to Mozambique.
conversation with Dr. Ethel Tshukudu from the University of Botswana, or the CSEdBotswana or SCEdBotswana continues, and I think we talked a little bit about the students. Now, obviously, computers can be intimidating. You mentioned that some of the teachers were a little bit not so on a flat ground in terms of receiving this. Maybe tell us, what was the experience with the teachers?
Yes, the teachers, we gave them online training. It was good, but not so smooth because we had issues with the internet during the training. So that could have affected how they received the training, right? Because some of them didn't finish at that time. So we had to give another one. But the teachers, all the teachers who got engaged with the Hour of Code were really excited and supporting the initiative. But as time went on towards the event itself, they were meeting the facilitators, then it was getting more and more exciting just to meet the facilitators. But we need to be very careful, like I said, when we introduce coding into the curriculum. They might have engaged in a fun programming language, but like I said, there are deeper programming language concepts you need to learn.
Okay.
So it starts with the teacher. If the teacher resists, then we can't be successful with the new curricula.
So are you hoping that the already existing teachers or class teachers will be the ones who are going to facilitate and move this thing forward, or are we looking at computer studies teachers?
We are looking at the computer studies teachers because they have done degrees in computer science. So these are the teachers that we need to really think carefully about, because like I said when I was in the UK, and there is research actually, lots of research even in the US, where the teachers find it challenging to teach these concepts. So there are lots of methods of how we can engage the teachers and make them more motivated and end up, enjoying teaching computer science in the schools.
All right.
Yes.
Because look, if you look at most of our computer studies education is based on Microsoft models, which is Office and obviously understanding Windows. However, now when you're bringing programming, you are changing the language from what Microsoft provides to something that is now what you call independent or self-made. Will the teachers be ready for this, or are they going to say, take us to school so we go and learn this?
Oh, definitely, the teachers. That's why we are here.
Okay.
So CSEdBotswana, one of our big objectives are to help advise on the curricula, to help professionally train the teachers, right? And to broaden participation. Currently, only 5% are doing that one. You said it's Microsoft. So imagine now if we are bringing a more challenging curricula. How do we introduce it? So one way was the Hour of Code. So it increased the excitement and the momentum. And who knows, those schools who participated, they might start saying, okay, all the students, they're interested in registering for computer science. But you just need to be very, very careful. Take it step at a time. It doesn't happen overnight because the teachers have to be trained and trained right. And they are pedagogies, or should I say the teaching methods. They design the skill of programming.
All right. So now you talk about facilitators. Who were these? Was it the University of Botswana students, or was it people who are professionals in the coding environment?
Yes. So we had 5 of them were students at the University of Botswana. Actually 4 were students at the University of Botswana. One of them was a computer science lecturer. And then we had 5 of them from Service Xcellence who are computer science professionals.
Okay.
And then we had 10 of them from the Ministry of Knowledge, Communications, Knowledge and Technology. And those are the 10 who are at, based in Botswana Innovation Hub and designing systems for the government. And so within those 10, we had companies, sub-companies like Leverage Point, DevSQL, Xavier Africa, you know, a lot of companies were there. I think they were totally maybe 7 or what. So these are developers themselves.
Okay.
But it was the first time they learned a block-based programming language.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, sometime last year during the distribution of these computers and laptops and tablets, obviously Bokra was involved in the process, and they engaged some people who are going to be facilitators from within almost every school to assist with that. Did you at any point get in touch with them and try to engage them on our code?
Bokra.
Yeah.
We engaged the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Communications.
All right.
So Bokra is under the Ministry of Communications.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I was asking that on the basis that they are the ones who distributed. Maybe they also might have had a hand on that. Now let's look at the children or the students who participated in this. Was there a selection? Because you say 1,000 students. I don't think that's the whole student population in senior secondary schools.
I gave it to the teacher to do the selection, and from what I heard, they were going from classroom to classroom, getting like 4 students per class. So, but obviously they wouldn't cover the whole school because the junior secondary schools still have limited computers in the labs. Yes. So
now rolling it out to the rest of the country, because it's an exciting project and one would want to see every child engaged in it, so that on their spare time, instead of watching certain things, they could at least be coding something that can add value. When are you intending on rolling it out to the whole country?
The summit will decide.
Okay. Now you mentioned the summit. Tell us about the summit. You did say that obviously CSEd is looking at having a summit. Tell us more about it.
Yes, so CSEdBotswana will have a summit on the 30th and 31st of this month. Okay. And we are encouraging people to come and discuss this topic. Already we can see it's an exciting topic. So we will have experts in computer science education, specifically from the USA. We will have the professors from the Europe, still in the field, who have designed, some of them have designed their own programming languages. So we will also have from Botswana, Botswana Innovation Hub, we'll have the 2 ministries I've been mentioning. We'll have other companies who will be, and then the researchers. We'll sit in one room and we will discuss what happened. But basically CSEdBotswana is about engaging all these partners. If you are interested in helping Botswana change its education system, computer science education system, come and join us and with the movement because we want all the support we can get to make the big change. So like I said, it's not something you snap a finger and it happens. So it's a process, a systematic process, and eventually we will get where we want to get.
Okay, so now obviously the younger ones also will have a keen interest in taking this out. Do you think that from the senior secondary schools you'll be able to go as low as the primary schools?
That's the mission.
Okay.
That's the mission, and it's ambitious, but with the support of the Ministry of Education and Skill Development, it can happen.
All right. Now, internally, obviously, from the University of Botswana, are you getting a lot of good support from there in terms of getting this thing rolled out?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. Actually, I am getting support. It started, yes, with the University of Botswana. Like I said, I've met the Vice Chancellor, and he was very supportive of the idea, and he even gave us the free venue for the summit. So we have public affairs who are helping us. We have the Maths. I have to thank the Department of Maths and Science Education, specifically Dr. Suping, who is the head of department. They came together. They are in the steering committee, and they are trying to make sure that everything goes well with the summit.
All right. So for the summit, who can go there, and how do they end up being a part of this summit?
So we want the teachers, of course. We want the Ministry of Education officials. I won't be too specific. I think we want BQA, Bokra. We want all of you. So in terms of, we want the universities, people who are teaching technology. We want BUs. We want all of them, even if I don't mention their names. They know themselves already by listening.
They're stakeholders.
Yes, they already know we have to come and partner or just listen, or at least offer ideas.
Okay.
Because we would really, really appreciate all of them to come to the summit, and we just have fun.
All right.
Yes.
I want to take this time, Dr. Tshukudu, to thank you for your time and good luck in your endeavors.
Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us to the end of our conversation with Dr. Tshukudu, who is from the Science Education Botswana, or CSEdBotswana.